for it.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of the Chilling Neigh Podcast, your premier VGC podcast. My name is Rachel, aka Conkeldonk VGC, and I'm joined by my co-host Sableye and Tommy. What is up, guys?
Tommy, go for it.
Happy to be here. Happy to be here. I am so happy to be talking to you guys, recording this podcast, talking Reg F, all things DLC. I have not played the DLC open. I love playing Reg F on ladder so far because, boys, my first ever points were with Mouse Ape. What if I told you I'm a Mouse Ape player hiding behind Size Spam? And now my true love for Mouse Ape is back. I am having so much fun in the 1200s on ladder with Mouse Ape right now.
Tommy,
so Reg F has been really fun for me.
Tommy, what if I told you can run Mouse Ape and Size Spam?
I know, I was gonna say.
Just put it on the same team. Just put it on the same team, and Tommy's winning regionals. It's over. There's no coming back from it.
If there's a format where that's good, maybe.
What do you mean it's literally a format? It was literally my winning in Vancouver. Was Mouse Ape, Size Spam, Dondozo. That was literally my winning in at Vancouver.
Love it. Sounds like a great team, honestly. Sounds like something Sableye would run for sure. For sure, sounds like something he would cook up.
No.
It's called balance, right?
It's called balance.
Yeah.
I'm equally balanced. I've got 2, 2, 2. I'm balanced.
All
right,
three
well,
equal.
As we're talking about, the Indigo disc has come out. We've been playing the DLC, or at least some of us have, and Reg F, at least what we think Reg F is gonna be. Its official rule set is gonna be announced tomorrow as of when we're recording. It's Christmas Eve. Happy Christmas Eve, everyone. But we're gonna talk all things DLC, what we think about Reg F. So I'm super excited to get into this. This is just gonna be a free-form conversation, however you guys want to take this. So I guess.
Sorry to interrupt and interject.
Yeah,
I want to hear your thoughts on both Reg F potential formats we think it is, with all the new photosynthesis mons and without, because I think it affects it a lot without them too.
I agree.
But with them, it's going to be fun, and with them affects the way I think the Worlds format would be played. Without them, makes more sense for the Worlds format this year, in my opinion.
Yeah, if they exclude them, in my opinion, if they're going to exclude them, which I don't think they will, but I'll get onto that point after. If they were to exclude them, we're going to play this format for 4 months, and then we'll play the next one right through Worlds, and it will have them in it. However, I don't see them excluding them. There is a reason they now gave Walking Wake a Pokedex entry. There's a reason they gave the Iron Leaves Pokedex entries in this DLC. Yeah. This is when they were meant to be here. You are going to see them be legal. They always say, like, when they did this for Reg E too, there's going to be a ban list, official ban list. They're only going to ban the Terapagos, which is going to be
Oxys.
The legendary, because it's a restricted mod. And then that's pretty much it, right? I think that's the only...
And then, like Miraidon, Corridon, like the standard,
and all the same stuff that's already been banned. But Iron Leaves and Walking Wake should be freed from jail. Yeah,
and they just announced like a raid for like Walking Wake and like Iron Leaves and stuff like that, so everyone can get the mons in game. So I'm pretty sure they're gonna be included, but we can definitely we can talk about those mons and kind of how they.
Anybody want to donate me a Raging Bolt, please? Yes, no.
Honestly, that's gonna be really hard to build teams and stuff like that with some of these mons to get. It's gonna be a little tricky, but I want to dive into these new Pokemon because we talked a bit about what we thought in like kind of a spoiler-free episode last time in what we thought about like new mons potentially coming in, returning mons. But now we have full access. If you haven't played the DLC, spoiler alert, we're gonna talk about everything right now. So really want to get into, let's start with the new mons and whichever mons you guys want to start with. But Sable, if you want to talk Raging Bolt first.
Don't make me talk Raging Bolt first. Don't make me talk Raging Bolt first. I don't want to talk. That's the problem. Full on disclaimer though, Raging Bolt is what we needed in this format. It is an incredibly strong Pokemon, and it is basically, it's almost as if Game Freak looked at the metagame and said, Torn Urshifu is a problem, let's beat this with one Pokemon.
And Dragon types are good right now.
Yeah, and they just said, you know what, Raging Bolt's going to go ahead and be that Pokemon. You know, it's got that access to that Thunderclap, which is basically special Electric Sucker Punch, which can one-shot the Urshifus if you need to. Tornadus effectively does nothing to this piece because it's only running Bleak Wind Storms, so that's not a problem. And then you kind of sit in front of both. Now, obviously, how are these Torners teams going to adapt? Because there's tons of options to beat Raging Bolt. Like Fluttermane puts on a good chunk of pressure into it. You know, those ground types. The Lando Eye has been picking up incredibly amounts of usage, and I'm going to talk about that a little later. I don't want to veer off of the Raging Bolt, but that's a good answer for it. But overall, it's just an incredibly strong piece. Hits like an absolute truck. You pair that with like photosynthesis stuff, it's incredibly strong. I was trying to use it. I was gonna use it in the Hemi tournament last week, and I was just like 40 minutes before, I'm like, yeah, I don't have a Raging Bolt. Electabuzz, go. It's a story for another time.
I want to talk about that Hemi tournament in a bit, but I want to say like Raging Bolt is kind of crazy. I didn't realize this until like a couple days ago. It has a higher special attack than Fluttermane.
Yes.
Like.
Yeah.
Yes.
It's insanely strong. It's 137 base versus 135 for Fluttermane. Thunderclap is really strong. The thing is, Fluttermane is also super good against it. Like with the special bulk side and just the fairy typing, like you kind of are forced to Tera.
Yep.
Tera Electric, booster special attack, Thunderclap. It's super hard, don't get me wrong. I feel like it's something that's really strong right now, but a little bit lacking in coverage, and I think like a simple fix is like, okay, change the Tera type on Urshifu so that it's not Tera Water anymore. You can have a little bit more of a defensive Tera. Maybe you're not one-shotting everything, but you still have that Rain Dance. Or stuff that's like priority blockers. I've seen Frigoraph. I've seen like people are trying out the new Psy Spam, which I want to get to because I think it's bad. I do not think Iron Crown is good. I honestly think Armarouge is better personally, but Armarouge in with the Trick Room stuff. I don't think like the fast Psy Spam is particularly that strong because Iron Crown just gets walled by Incineroar and it can't do anything unless you're going for Focus Blast. I mean, not that Armarouge is much better, but at least you get Ursalune in the back, stuff like that. So I think that's bad, but I think there's going to be a lot of Raging Bolt counters, but I think we're going to see plenty of it at Portland, and we're going to see a lot of people's answers to it that people are going to be kind of keeping secret until Portland. It's going to be pretty chaotic because we're only going to get the official announcement of the format tomorrow, and then just like 2 weeks until Portland. It'll be pretty crazy. I think Lando Eye, like you've been saying, is super good, and I think that's going to be a really big answer to it. So really curious to see what people bring to counter Raging Bolt. Another mon I kind of want to talk about a little bit is Archaludon, and I don't know how to say it properly. I don't know like what the right way to say it is.
I've been saying Archaludon.
Okay, I don't know what someone's gonna correct us. I don't know what it is. But
back when it was Duraludon, and I used to say Duraludon, but people used to tell me it was Duraludon. So I'm assuming under that impression, if people are telling me that's what it was, would this not, in a way, be like Archaludon or Archaludon, which would just be horrible?
Archaludon.
It's Archaludon. I don't care.
Let us know. I guess I think that people. I mean, like either way, it's a strong mon. I think
I'm calling it Al from now on.
Sorry, what's that?
I'm just gonna nickname it something like Archer Al.
Yeah, I just call it like.
Let's go, Al.
Like, just Al. Al the Archaludon.
Yeah.
But this thing I want to talk about a little bit because it's got a lot of interesting tools. Something that I didn't think would be very good, but I still think will kind of die down. But right now, it's something that people are really experimenting with, and I think are finding really cool sets. So, not the best special defense, but overall pretty strong bulk. 90 HP, 130 defense, 65 base special defense. So I've seen a lot of AV. Its abilities are both really good. I want to,
I thought it had 3 good ones.
It's got 3, but you're never gonna use Sturdy. Sturdy's a good ability, but on the bulk that this thing has, you're not utilizing it. The other 2 are way better.
Stamina and Stalwart, both very interesting, and both play a little bit differently. I think so. Stalwart is really interesting because Mungus has kind of picked up a little bit, and so you can kind of get around those Amunguses, you can kind of get around Indeedis, just ignore that redirection, which is a unique ability to the Duraludon line, and something that Duraludon kind of used back in early Sword and Shield just didn't have the stats to carry on. Now this mon has a lot of those stats, can be used, so it's interesting to see if redirection kind of picks up more and more, if that picks up. But right now, stamina seems to be like the ability for it, with just getting hit and getting those defense boosts and just getting hard to remove. It resists the surging strikes, so even those crits, not taking too much damage. You have Electro Shot in Rain, which is like electric meteor beam. Boost special attack on turn 1, and then fires on turn 2 a 130 base attack. But in Rain, it just all does it in one
It
turn.
just rips.
Yep.
Bro, I got swept
It's
by it so many times on low ladder. I was like, I gotta try this thing.
Mm-hmm.
it's really strong. It gets body press,
Yep.
so you can go for like the
Stamina,
stamina
body
stuff.
press,
And so
AV, yeah.
now, Tommy, tell us what you've been experimenting with. Tell us about.
Oh, I was using Mouse Ape. I love Mouse Ape. I was using Mouse Ape with Rillaboom and Heat Ran. I'm using Iron Defense, Body Press, Magma Storm, Protect, Heat Ran with the Agave Berry and Terra Fairy. And I've just been setting up and crushing stuff. It's been a lot of fun. But that 6-piece I was looking for, I was using Lando Eye for a while because I thought it had very good earth, like the ground coverage, the poison coverage. I thought that was really good. I'm also using Cresselia, so I have Lunar Blessing too. I have the Grassy Terrain, the Lunar Blessing.
Yep.
I have the Ape that's hard to kill. So once like Mouse dies, or I swap in Cress and Protect, and I could get the Lunar Blessing up, start Icy Winding stuff, and Ape's faster than everything now. 6 slot I was looking for a while. I was just swapping between stuff, and I added Archaludon, and beat up with the Ape. With the Mouse works on Annihilate, and now works on Archaludon if I want to set up the body press on that guy. Mouse, I was never really clicking Taunt except into Amoonguss matchups. And I said, you know what? I'm seeing this not as much as I have, like, I think I have other ways to play around it. I think I could play around it if I have safety goggles on my Mouse instead of the Rocky helmet. I think, like, there's ways I could tech around the Amoonguss matchup, still get my Rage Fist off, and do big boy damage to it. So I said, let me add Rain Dance to Mouse Hold. And I'm using Follow Me, Beat Up, Protect, Rain Dance on Mouse Hold. And I've been able to, like, I always open team sheets, not always. I'm on the subway or the train, the LIRR playing on my phone, or I'm at work playing on the iPad. If you see me at Leafy NYC on Showdown, that's me at work. It's on all the iPads. And I'm like in the 1200 right now.
All right, Tommy, your boss is going to watch this and just be like, I'm going to have to let him go.
Yeah, no, yeah, that's gonna be funny. It's gonna be a funny conversation when I'm like guerrilla marketing, and but it's so fun, and I have Rillaboom and Ape, so it's 2 gorillas on the team too, and no, but it's really fun. I've really been having fun this format, just playing around on low ladder when I can, playing on the train, playing at work, playing just a few games here and there when I can, and Archaludon's been so much fun since I added it because the Electro Shot boosted special attack, then Flash Cannon actually does something.
Yeah.
The first Flash Cannon without a boost doesn't really, it's like, especially when I have the AV on it. Yep. I'm using Draco Meteor, which does hit, like it helps versus Raging Bolts. It helps versus certain Latias, which is picking up. It, the Assault Vest, then setting up the Rain, boosting my special attack. I could boost my defense. This thing is hard to beat if you don't have a plan to beat it, or like, it's going to be prepped for at regional level. And I think we mentioned that last podcast too. Like that at the regional level, people are going to have lines into it, going to have a matchup into it, going to be able to not just let you sit there and set up. But when you do sit there and set up, it's a lot of fun. And it's a lot of fun.
Tommy, that's a perfect segue into exactly what I was going to say, which I think is very funny. And this thing, to me, it screams it's going to be playing a lot of win-and-ins at regionals. It's going to be sitting at those 6-2 tables more often than not. And yeah, a few of them are going to sneak into day 2, and maybe a few of them will eventually sneak in and break that barrier into that top cut, right? Because it is, in theory, a very good mod. However, it's a lot better of a Pokemon when you do not have, when your opponent just doesn't have an answer to it, right? It's one of those ones where if you're going to let my Archaludon go, my Archaludon's going to go. But like you said, Tommy, at a regional level, you're not going to be playing those same teams. You're going to have those teams that are fully thought out, and those teams that are fully thought out are going to have, okay, this is what my game plan has to be into Archaludon. I can't let it set up. I know my game plan into it. Now, granted, that's not going to necessarily stop it from cutting events, making day 2 at events, but I think it's going to hinder it. because I do
You
believe
might
it's
have a
just
shit game plan.
to me. I don't know. I look at it and I go, "This is a mon that's gonna get you 6-3 at a regional." I don't know why. It's gonna break at some point. It's gonna break that because it is a good mon with its stats, with its ability. It just feels like it's a mon that's gonna go, "Yep, 6-3 at the regional with Archaludon. Pretty proud of my run." You know, that just feels like this mon. That I don't know why. It just doesn't feel like it's on that next level yet, but it's still a really good mon.
Yeah, I think like if like out of all the like Archaludons that are brought to Portland, for example, I think like maybe 80%, 90% like don't make day two, but there's gonna be like one or like there's gonna be like Jody or like Tang or like
Oh yeah,
someone who's good at building rain teams. They're gonna like because we've seen it time and time again where it was like the Salaman's rain, Palafin rain, whatever it was. Someone shows up with a really strong rain team and they're gonna be like the only person that cut like there's gonna be one in cut and then like none in like top 32 or like maybe like that building group gets like a
yeah,
couple in like top 32 or whatever it is. And I think like there's gonna be here and there's gonna be people that build a really strong Archaludon team, but I think most players are gonna bring it. They're gonna have new toy syndrome, and it's not gonna do quite as well because I think what happened is people have noticed it earlier. People have realized that it was strong now, and I think that bodes poorly for Portland actually because people are gonna see people are like playing now and they're like, oh, I'm just losing to this on ladder. I need to have an answer into this, and so I think there's gonna be a lot of people that have their game plan into this mon, and I think it'll be stronger. Like I said, when people maybe when the format develops a little bit and people forget about this, like people like it drops off a bit and people aren't prepared for it, and that's when I think it's gonna be really strong in like in certain teams. I do think in Portland or Charlotte, one of the couple of regions, I think we'll see one
yeah.
in top cut, at least because I think there's going to be one of the building groups is going to build a really strong rain team like they
Yep.
always do, and we're going to see like Scarfer, Shifu, like Pelipper, something like that, and I think I think it'll be strong, but I do agree. I think it's mostly going to be okay,
Yeah.
not the best one.
You're gonna see it. It'll be an archetype that you're gonna have to recognize. How the archetype develops is yet to be seen. But you're gonna see
Yeah.
this
Yep.
archetype. You're gonna see it develop over the course of the format. Whether or not it's actually gonna break through to that next level, like I said, Conk, I think you might need that like one of those like solid rain players to just kind of break
Yep.
it for everybody, sort of thing.
Yep. All right, Tommy, I want to send this to you. What do you think about Iron Crown and the new side spam? I I have
I
thoughts on it, but I'm curious what you
Dude,
think.
how can you try it right now in this format where there's so much high level swapping going on? Like,
Yep.
I haven't even tried it yet. I'm like, I have no interest in it yet. It's just like, I'm playing Rillaboom. I'll send you guys my paste. This is what I've been playing,
Yeah,
and it's
it just
probably really bad,
so many ways to
but
swap around his Iron Crown. Incin is on a
it's
lot of
not.
teams right now.
Yeah,
Especially, not only does
listen,
Incin
bro.
deserve to be on a lot of teams, it's on even more teams right now because people are trying to figure out, oh, why is this cat so hyped up? So almost
Yeah,
Yeah,
everybody has an Incin right now. Right? Once the meta
it's pretty
settles
crazy.
and you start maybe seeing Incin fall off a little bit because not everybody is trying it. Sometimes people prefer because there's always those pieces where it's like this mon is really really good. I acknowledge that, but I'd much rather play my game as trying to beat it rather than utilizing it myself, which always
I,
happens, right? And eventually that's going to happen once people start realizing that okay, maybe Incin's not for me. Maybe I'm not that cycling player. But like right now,
Yeah,
it's almost on every team.
it's extremely splashable.
Yeah,
It is like you can put it on any team and it always will be good. Like there are very few teams where it'll be a hindrance to the team. It's generally a good mon. It's maybe not the best mon on every team. But like right now, I built like maybe 3 teams so far for F. Incin was on every single one. Every time I queue up a ladder game, like 90% have Incin. Like I wouldn't be surprised if we get shocked by like the insane usage Instant has at Portland because I think there's a bit of old players know how good Instant is and it's a
yep,
comfort pick for a lot of balanced teams. Like it's just
hi.
so
yep.
easy to put on the balanced team. Like Incineroar, Urshifu was even a thing in Sword and Shield, in like the Spike Myth format, like everything. Incin Urshifu Rilla was super good, or Incin Amoonguss Rilla or Urshifu, whatever it is. But I do think there's gonna be okay. if you can find a reliable way to counter it, there's gonna be a lot of Defiant. I see a lot of King Gambit. I see a lot of like I've not a lot of Annihilate, but I do see people trying
Fine.
Annihilate. But I think King Gambit will probably be like
The better the
the
Defiant.
like it's gonna have a great usage. It's not necessarily great into Incin itself, but it's a good like it's getting the boost along the way, and Incin wants to pivot. It doesn't want to just stay in. Like Pursue and Arcanine was a little bit different because you just come in and you click Banded Rock Slides, you click Banded Flare Blitz.
Yeah.
Incin really wants to fake out Parting Shot, pivot, and if you can catch a Parting Shot, especially into King Gambit, it just wins you games.
Yeah.
It just
I got
is
a question
insane.
though. Why aren't there more contrary mons popping up? Like, why isn't Enamorous Incarnate popping up more right now? Why isn't
Because Enamorous
Melodic?
Incarnate is just, in my opinion, and I hate to say this, and I'm gonna catch a lot of hate for this, it's just not a good Pokemon, Tommy.
It's just not even with that high special attack stat.
The
And
thing is,
speed,
like, if you're saying
damage.
Enamorous is coming in to break these Intimidators as a contrary mon, you'd want to use it as a physical mon, and it's just not going to be that. It's one of those ones where a strong Incineroar player will know when they can afford to bring it, when they have to risk that Intimidate, or when they'll have their game plan. Like in Regulation E with my Roaring Moon Goldengo team, my answer into King Gambit was actually to lead Arcanine, as dumb as that sounds. Right? Why would I be leading Arcanine into King Gambit? One of my answers was, well, if I just lead it beside Fake Out, if you lead King Gambit, I have Drain Punch option and a Head Smash or a Flare Blitz option. If you're going to Tera, I can just launch a Head Smash, force the Tera, and if you don't Tera, well, then the Drain Punch gets it. Right? I have a lot of options with that play. So, like I said, a smart player will be able to figure out when it's okay to bring that Intimidator, when it's okay to bring that pivot piece versus those setup mons, versus those Defiant mons. So, yes, Enamorous can catch a lot of players off guard with that Intimidate, but I think at that next level of gameplay, it's just not a good enough mon to capitalize where you really want to utilize it.
And I kind of so this is a pretty good segue because I totally agree. I think contrary mons are not really the answer to Incin. I think like we'll see more competitive. Like I think there'll be like a couple people that try.
Oh, that's what I meant.
A couple people that'll try the Articuno. I think Ogerpon Grass will have an interesting like I think people are sleeping on Ogerpon Grass. With Defiant and then the ability to just Tera and outspeed like Chien-Pao's Flutters. Like I think it was good and now it's like even stronger, even with Incin around. Like I think it's just it's really strong. But in terms of contrary mons, one thing that I've seen and one thing that also helps us pivot to the stellar Tera type, which I want to talk about. But Superior, I've seen being tried. I think it's
the Jamie.
I think it's gonna be too gimmicky. I don't think it's gonna be like the best, but contrary Leaf Storm, you just keep boosting your special attack, and then it pairs really nicely with the Stellar Tera type. So I'll I'll let you've been pumping out these guides and you've been doing a great job at it. So I'll let you explain Stellar Tera type.
All right. So there is 3 main parts to the Stellar Tera type. For those of you who haven't figured it out yet, you have your Pokemon remains the same typing, so nothing changes. If I'm a Grass Electric type, I'm gonna remain a Grass Electric type. Second part is you have now a boost to every single one of your moves of each individual type. So basically, if I have Dazzling Gleam, Shadow Ball, and I'm a Flutter main, let's just say, I have Dazzling Gleam, Shadow Ball, and let's just say Thunderbolt for the sake of it. And I'd Stellar Tera. Stellar Tera, that's hard to say, I don't know why. But, right, that first Dazzling Gleam I use, or that first Fairy move I use, will be boosted. But the following Fairy move I use will not be. However, if I use a Fairy move with the boost, the following turn and I want to click my Ghost move or my Electric move, both of those will still have the boost available to them, because I haven't used the boost for that type yet. And then the third point is if I Tera Blast, it becomes Stellar type, which is neutral into everything but super effective against opposing Teras.
And it drops your attack and special attack. But with contrary, with Superior, which I've been seeing, is it boosts it. So it boosts your attack and special attack. So it's kind of this setup mon. So I'm curious on your guys' thoughts on Stellar Tera type. We've seen it in some Limitless tours do well. Actually, it won a big Limitless tour, the Hemi tour.
It won back to back. It won Tommy's Tuesday tour, and then it won Hemi's tour on the Wednesday following.
Okay. Yeah. So really curious on what you guys think. I have mixed feelings on it, but I'll kind of let you guys go first on what you guys think on the Stellar Terra.
Tommy, I'm pretty opinionated on this one, but if you want to jump on in here with your thoughts, go for it.
Perfect. Again, I haven't played the DLC. I only understand it from Sablei's YouTube guides that I've watched on the trains to work. And like, so when I use, if I am Terra Stellar Fluttermane and I use Dazzling Gleam, that's not boosted.
It's boosted the first time you use it.
So the first time, but if you used Dazzling Gleam and then used Dazzling Gleam again,
The
or like
second time will
Moonblast
not be boosted.
afterwards, it wouldn't be boosted anymore. But your Shadow
Okay,
Ball
that's
would be
cool.
boosted. You know what I'm saying? So like, and then it
Oh,
would,
the first
but then it
time
wouldn't
I
be
used
boosted the second
First time
Shadow
you use
Ball.
a move of each
You know.
type, yes.
So if I have a Fluttermane with 3 attacks, I would get 3 separate opportunities to use that boost essentially. If I use all 3 attacks.
Unless it's Moonblast and Dazzling Gleam. Like if I get my boost on
Oh.
Moonblast, it takes away the boost for all fairy moves after that.
Done and done.
Yep.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you. I
So
needed that
I'll hop in
explanation.
here. Yeah, I think it's only gonna be good on like very offensive mons
Yeah.
like Fluttermane.
Mhm.
I've seen on like Urshifu, stuff like that. I don't know which mon it was used on for the Tommy Tour win,
Both
but
Fluttermane.
I know it's Fluttermane.
Both
Oh,
for
okay, it's
Fluttermane.
Fluttermane. So I think it is going to be only used on very offensive mons like that can take advantage of, okay, I just want to get strong damage out, and but the lack of like, I think a lot of the best Terras are the Terras that are offensive and defensive at the same time,
Mhm.
right? They're Terra Fairy Fluttermane, Terra Water Urshifu, where you're getting rid of a key weakness or key couple weaknesses, and you're also boosting your damage output. And I think that is still going to be the strongest way to Terra. I think Stellar has the unique where it's like, okay, if you're not like a Specs Fluttermane, right? If you're just kind of like a booster special attack Fluttermane and you just want to make sure that you're getting good damage down across the board, it can be something that's useful. I don't think Terra Blast will be used
No.
on like almost any of the Stellar Terra types except or Stellar Terra mons, except for like something like Superior, that like boosts it from, because I think the drawback of using the Terra Blast for normal mons of losing your special attack, your physical attack by stage by 1 is so detrimental, and a lot of times you can just target Terra mons like super effective with just normal moves, right? You don't need to call a Terra and then use Terra Blast. So I don't think Terra Blast is going to see like virtually any usage on Stellar Terra, but I do think it's going to be something where, okay, there's going to be a few teams in like top 16s, you know, that like will be okay. There's a Stellar Terra here, maybe like 1 or 2. Don't see it being high usage though.
I personally think it is bad. And I'm going to stand on this statement, and it is, in my opinion, just bad. Partly for what Conk said, where you don't get that defensive Terra type to maneuver in and out. And it's like, even with the Fluttermanes, right? You normally go Terra Fairy. Yes, it's super offensive, but it also keeps you safe from something like a Sucker Punch. Takes away neutrality, makes it resisted, right? So yeah, I'm using it offensively, but it also becomes defensively as well. Whereas the Terra, you don't necessarily get that, you know. Now it's really cool because something on like Fluttermane, you get the opportunity to get the boosted damage for a few turns, and you're still not getting hit by a fake out, which I think is where the niche happens on Fluttermane there. And I think, like you said, Conk, there's going to be these niche usages for it where it does just kind of fit that one team really, really well. And I think Fluttermane is like the perfect example, right? Because it's like, do I want like a lot of damage up front, or do I want the fact that I can still boost my damage, still switch my moves if I want to be like booster, special attack, Terra Stellar, and then still dodge fake outs? Right? If your team is really reliant on something like that, maybe you do go for that Stellar Terra type onto Fluttermane as opposed to Fairy, right? Or maybe even on like a Shenpao, because I think something could be cool with Shenpao where you tell no. One day I'm going to get this right, where you Terra Stellar, and normally you see the ghost, right, to get around to fake outs, but maybe you have a priority blocker on your side of the field. You don't no longer need to get around that. Now all of a sudden, you have that boost to your Sucker Punch, you have that one-time boost to your Ice move, and that could be enough. That extra boost to that Ice move might be enough to kill that Amoonguss. Might be enough to kill that Fluttermane that's EV'd to live just barely, right? And because of that, if you can afford to not have that fake out, I think it could be cool there. Like I said, it's going to be very niche on usage. I think it's bad, like as a general Tera type, I think it's bad. But for niche usages, I can definitely see where it could pick up in usage.
Yep, totally agree. Totally agree. I'm very curious to see how that kind of plays into Portland
Yeah.
and how people approach that.
Oh, can we get back to Iron Crown? Because this is how I don't know how we ended up over here. We started talking about Iron Crown,
Really good
talked
at
about it for
that.
20
We really
seconds,
did.
and now we're over here.
Yeah.
Crown sucks.
So I don't think it's terrible. I think like it's very strong, very fast. Oh, not very fast. It's 98 base speed, so it's fast enough.
Yeah.
It's faster than Earth.
Fast-ish.
Um,
I wouldn't beat it in a
fast
race.
expanding force. Yeah, like fast expanding force without having to set up Trick Room, right, is nice. Like it's definitely strong. The thing is, and it gets this signature move. It's called like Terrakion Cutter, something
Tachyon
like
Cutter.
that. Yeah, and it hits twice, 50 base power each time, which 100 guaranteed to hit twice. It's a steel move, so basically you can KO Qianpao through Sash. That's the main thing it's being used for. And that's strong. You know, you get rid of a dark type, but the thing is, Qianpao's faster. It can Ice Spinner first, right? Rillaboom is a thing, and that is already like that was already hard to pivot, and now you don't even have a stab move that hits it for super effective, right? Where Armarouge had that threatening that you're gonna switch in your Rillaboom, you might have to eat a Heat Wave, you might have to eat an Armor Cannon, like that's something that you kind of had to play around the reads.
It's
But
weak to
I
so
will say,
much.
like,
It's
yeah,
yeah.
the defensive typing is not great either. Steel Psychic is a terrible defensive typing into Incineroar. Like that's just can't get worse than
Yeah.
that.
Everybody's favorite cat.
Yeah, but what I will say is, and we saw this at LAIC, and I think a bit afterwards, I think Michael DeBest had like a fast DD team that actually Cybertron
I
used
wanted to
at the
talk about
previous
that.
regional. Yeah, so fast Indeedee, like fast teams with Indeedee, like or just any priority blocker, but especially Indeedee with like follow me pressure and stuff like that is really strong. Like I think like if you can build a good team around Iron Crown,
Yeah.
it's less about Iron Crown actually, it's more about the Indeedee and like you have like Tailwind, you have Urshifu, like there's ways to do this.
Yep.
I think that'll be usable. Like
I-
again, I think this will be something that like goes 6-3 at regionals. Like I don't think it's gonna be something that's like I think there'll be maybe one like really would see a stretch to see two make like day two in Portland. That's my prediction. I don't see it make like I don't see him being that
Indeedee
great.
male. I think it would be Indeedee male too.
Mm.
I don't think it would be Indeedee female. I think people would go with a fast guy, right, and try to hit that little
female,
extra.
personally.
I think Indeedee female, like I think Indeedee female is such a good support mon that like a lot of those like that those kinds of teams are going to be very fast, very offensive, and they're not going to have a lot of bulk. Like that's what I'm getting from those teams.
That's where I
and
think
like I think Indeedee by a lot of like it's going to be very helpful.
See,
Sorry, go ahead, say what?
I'm gonna. I don't think that's accurate. I think it's fast and offensive right now because people are like, oh, we're gonna go side spam, we're gonna commit to it. And when your side spam mode was a trick room mode and you paired it with those trick room sweepers as well, you could commit to it.
Yep.
But now that it's a fast mode, I think you're gonna start needing to see these teams be built back into those like those 2019 teams with the Ultra Necrozma Tapu Lele stuff, right? It wasn't necessarily side spam, right? But it had that mode that if you needed to just punch through things with powerful psychic moves, you could do so. And I think that's how you're going to have to see Iron Crown be built. Like you're going to see it on like a core of 4 and then, oh, let's just have a side spam mode here just to get in people's heads. It's going to be able to take a couple games here or there where I need it to take, but it's not going to necessarily be a side spam team. It's going to be, I'm going to have that option if I need it on a well-built team otherwise, and I'm going to be able to capitalize on, oh, they're going to make an adjustment here. Because if I have side spam, what do you have to do on your team? You have to bring your answers to side spam. Whether or not you're going to bring it consistently, you have to have something. So me, normally, I'm trying to bring Incin into a side spam team. If my team is like Torn, Ursh, Indeedee, Iron Crown, let's just say, or something along those lines, right? And I bring my Incineroar into that, Incin doesn't want to be in front of Torn, Ursh. You know, it's kind of one of those ones where I don't think it's going to be the core anymore. It's not going to be that concept where it's like, oh, Psy Spam, go. It's going to be, I have this option on an already well-built team that's just going to kind of force my opponent's hand a little bit. Maybe allow me to play a couple games where I can just send damage. And that's really all you need from it. I don't think you're looking for that whole Psy Spam, fast offense, Psy Spam build go, right? I think it's gonna settle down. Once people start figuring that out and figuring out what the best where it best complements other cores, you're gonna see it pop up a little bit more and a lot more consistently. It's gonna be a little bit better than what it is right now. Because I agree, right now, it's not in a good spot.
Yep. No, I agree. I think it may not be something that does. My prediction is not going to be something that does super well early tournaments, but I think it's going to be something that comes in a little bit like after the meta develops and after you can kind of see a little bit more centralized meta where you can kind of predict what the main brings are going to be. You can kind of gear your team towards that. But I think early on, it's going to be fairly difficult to break through like the Incineroar, like standard or like just the standard balanced cores that we're going to see. I think it's going to be hard for those Psy Spam teams to break through.
That's where Lando Eye comes in. If you're worried trying to beat Incineroar, Lando Eye's right there. That's exactly what it's there for.
That's true. That's true. That's true. Okay, now, so I feel like we talked about Raging Bolt, Archaludon, Iron Crown. I think probably easily the 3 best new mons that were introduced. Any thoughts on like Gouging Fire, Iron Boulder, Hydrapple? I don't think they're gonna see like
Iron Boulder.
I've seen
Iron
some
Boulder
Gouging
good.
Fire. Okay.
I was gonna say Gouging Fire good. So Tommy, go on Iron Boulder.
I was gonna say Gouging Fire
is
like what I've seen more of, but I've seen some Iron Boulder too with like Clear Amulet. Like so it gets access to a new move for those that don't know. It's a Mighty Cleave that goes through Protect. It's a rock move, I think what, like 85 base power, something like that.
Something like that.
And it goes through Protect. It doesn't break Protect like Phantom Force. It just goes through it. Pretty much just like Unseen Fist for that one move specifically.
Yes.
And it's a rock psychic type, which is like
sure.
It's interesting. I mean, like you have that super effective damage into Incineroar. You also still don't love seeing Incineroar. So I think not so great. I don't see it being like very good. I think maybe someone will find like a niche team, but like really don't think it's gonna be good at all.
This is one of those Pokemon Justin Knox is gonna top 4 regional with, and everyone's gonna be like, "Oh," and then start using it. Sorry, I cursed it.
I do think there's gonna be like a weird team builder that like will pull up with like I think like going through Protect is always strong, and we don't really have many moves, or Urshifu obviously, and then Phantom Force does it like on a 2-turn move, which is not as good as like just doing it right away with Mighty Cleave. So that will give it a niche. It will have some, and it obviously offensively, Rock is obviously good into Incineroar, so it will have some sort of like someone will find a way to build a good Iron Boulder team. I don't think it's gonna be like I think it's gonna be like a less than 1% usage though. I don't
think that low. I don't think that low because this mon is, and I hate to say it, inherently good. It's got good things going for it, right? It's got some decent speed. It has the ability to capitalize on a booster energy depending on which way you want to play. You go speed or attack. Both are good options, right? You've got, like you said, that rock move that just goes through Protect, which is incredibly strong. And that's good naturally, right? We've seen Urshifu do that for years, being able to go through Protect, and it's still incredibly strong, right? The only thing, in my opinion, that's setting this thing back is that typing. I don't think Rock Psychic really, does anything in this format. It's like, it's cool. Hey, buddy, you got a rock and a psychic type. It's kind of cool. I don't know why it's coated in steel. I don't get why it's a rock psychic type at all, in my opinion. But, like, it really just doesn't do anything for it competitively. It's 2 cool typings, but that's pretty much about it. And that's about it. I don't think they synergize super well. So that is probably one of the biggest things setting it back. But I think it has a lot of good things going for it. I would imagine, I don't think quite as low as less than 1%. I think you're going to go probably around 5%. You're going to see it. Like, if I'm going to a regional, I definitely wouldn't want to have an auto loss into it. I'd at least want to have a line, especially the early regionals where it's like we don't know what the meta is going to be. You definitely want to make sure you at least go, okay, if I play that dude, I should be able to, at least kind of have some sort of workaround if I can play a little bit. you know, but I don't think it's going to be
bit.
that bad. It has some good things going for it, is all I'm trying to say.
Yeah, I think like early format is gonna be it's time to do something if it does anything. Like I think when people aren't super familiar with it and like they don't really have a lot of practice into it, I think that's when it's gonna be able to thrive potentially. Not thrive, but like someone will be able to do well with it. But the thing is like Urshifu and Cinderella, all of them hit it for super effective just naturally, which means it's gonna be a and Fluttermane can hit it super effective. Like
Yeah.
there's so many mons that can just naturally hit it. Like its typing is really bad defensively, and so I think it's gonna be like the teams that it is on. It's gonna be a bit of a Terra hog when you have to
Yeah.
bring it, and I don't personally. I really hate mons like that. Like for most of the time, like not really hate, but like they have to be really strong mons for it to be a Terra hog.
Yeah.
And I think like
Yeah.
I don't know if Iron Boulder is gonna fill that role, but
You never know.
again, maybe I'll be proven wrong.
Yeah.
I think early like Portland and Charlotte are probably its best chances to do something if it's going to have a big performance.
I like it.
My
That
opinion.
makes sense.
I think Hydrapple is garbage. I don't think it's going to be used at all. Not much going for it. Like Grass Dragon, it's like a
I
Trick
like
Room
the
Mon.
signature move. I like the idea of it.
It's a cool
I
concept.
like the
The thing is,
yeah.
in my opinion, I would still not want to play with that move. And yes, it's kind of broken, right? You get the 80 base power move, which is basically like a Dragon Pulse, but then it has a 30% chance to double every time, for every time you
Yep.
use it. So it might just be a 160 move all of a sudden. And as a balanced player, as a player who likes mapping out my game,
Yeah,
that
no,
that makes
would
it
annoy
incredibly
that.
annoying to map out. Because if I'm on like the last
Yep.
turn of Trick Room and I want to make sure I kill one piece but not the other, you know, I want to safely double into that. All of a sudden I get the double power move, I kill something, then I accidentally kill the other piece. All of a sudden I can't get Trick Room back up. That kind of messes with game plans. Now I'm not saying that's a super big turn off for me, but it is kind of that secondary effect where it's like, oh yeah, I get boost, but it's like, wait, the boost is actually bad for me because sometimes you don't want to take that piece off the
Yeah.
field. You know, sometimes like, oh, and you're sitting there and like, oh, I got crit, and then you're like, wait, no, me getting crit is awesome. And it's similar to that Fickle Beam where it's like, oh, they got the double power, but they got the double power, gave me a free switch, and now I can win. Right? It's cool.
The
I just
biggest
don't
thing
think it
with
does
Pokemon
enough.
is like, yeah, knowledge is power, and not like having some of that predictability is like really important. Like knowing like your own what your own mons do is super
Yes.
important, and like having unpredictability in your own team, not great,
Like,
not great.
I love it.
Like, hey, if I get a crit, sure, you know what? I crit the guy. That's
Yeah,
part of the game.
right.
You know what I mean? But like, since there's other moves
Yeah.
to use, right? Where I'm not
Yeah.
saying Dragon Pulse is better. I do think Fickle Beam. If you're gonna run this thing, you're running Fickle Beam 99% of the time. You'd have to be insane not to. Just don't get me wrong.
Yeah.
Don't get me wrong. I'm not saying Dragon Pulse is better by any means. But
Have you seen
Right.
the skill swap contrary guy? There's a guy on YouTube using skill swap contrary, and he's using Draco Meteor Leaf Storm and having a blast. And I thought that was very funny.
that's pretty cool.
That's that. I mean, it'll be YouTube content for
Yeah.
sure. It'll,
Oh, yeah,
like,
yeah.
Hydrapple
Yeah,
will
like,
be
I think it's a
YouTube.
cool mon. You're
YouTube
gonna
stuff.
see
I
it.
like that.
I don't think you can afford to
Yeah.
say like this mon's not going to be seen because I do think you're going to see it, especially because it is like one of the fan favorites as well. But like,
Yep.
I just don't know if it's going to be enough. It's not going to be meta defining. You're going to see that like one cool team every now and then with the Hydrapple on it. It's going to be like, Hydrapple, go, and that's about it.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. With our remaining time, I want to shift focus to mons that are not new but were like reintroduced into like the DLC, or just like
Yeah.
mons that were already in the game that have kind of either their role has changed, they've gotten better, they've gotten worse, something. I think the first easy one, Sable, if you want to talk about Electabuzz and kind of how that's been going for you, I think that's a really cool pick.
I will talk about
Yes.
Electabuzz and Magmar in the fact that, hey, they got Follow Me back, and that is really, really cool to see. You know, it's that
Really
extra
cool.
Yeah.
mon. You get cool abilities like Static and Flame Body, and being able to turn people and redirect attacks and force them into you so they get either burned or paralyzed potentially is incredibly, incredibly strong. right? And I think just overall with the Eviolite, having Follow Me, it makes these pieces somewhat useful. Electabuzz, I'll talk about since I actually did play it in the Hemi tournament last weekend. And this was actually funny how it kind of happened. So my building group, we've been back and forth. Like, is Electabuzz good? We're not really sure. We don't really know what's going on there, right? And the early format, fairness, not a whole lot of people do, right? And I had Raging Bolt, Suicune, and that my stream was going to be, I'm going to feature Suicune on my stream. And then I said, about an hour before the stream, I'm like, hey, can anybody have a Raging Bolt I can use? Long story short, no. So I didn't have a Raging Bolt. So I was like, I have to go with a different electric type. And I'm like, what's a cool electric type I can use for content? And I was like, Electabuzz. But if I use Electabuzz and Suicune, it feels really passive. So I'll drop Suicune, I'll throw Urshifu there, you know? And Electabuzz was genuinely good. I opted for Vital Spirit because my concept was I wanted to be able to lead it beside King Gambit and say, follow me, plus Swords Dance sort of thing, so I can completely ignore the Spore, or completely ignore the Amoonguss. That was the concept there. I do think having Static and Taunt is a lot more optimal because Static is just a better ability, guys. Vital Spirit's cool, but Static is just a better ability. It's really cool. You got Electro Web to slow some stuff down. Does surprisingly well into Tornadus Urshifu, which, I mean, hey, it's kind of cool. Yeah. I gotta live the Surging Strikes into Rain. I was like, let's go Electabuzz, we're gaming. Got the Electro Webs off, right? So it does surprisingly well into that.
Static, if you switch to Static.
Yeah.
Static would be...
You know, Static was definitely the better ability. That one's on me. But, like, the concept was there. Either way, the Mon is cool. Same with Magmar. I think they're cool. As to how much we're actually going to see them, you're not going to see them a lot. But I think it's a very cool niche pick. You know, you get to the end of your team and you're like, you know, redirection would be cool here. You can start maybe considering those pieces. But it's not like I'm going to sit down and build a Magmar team. You know, it's just not going to happen like that. But they're cool niche picks, and I think it's really, really cool to see them get some love.
All right, I wanna do a little bit of rapid fire, because I think there's a lot of mons here that I want to get. I was looking through the list, and I think there's a few, so I want quick opinions on these mons, whether good, bad, and quick reasons why. Okay.
Yep.
So first one is I want to talk about Entei. Good, bad, why?
Tommy?
Good. Sacred Fire, go.
Good. Really, really, really strong. Got a lot of good things going for it.
I think it's really strong. Terra normal, E-speed, inner focus, kind of similar to Dragonite, but it's way better against Fluttermane. I think it's something to stick around.
Main concern takes your fire type slot. That's my only concern with it.
That is no, you have to run it as a, no, it's not good actually. There's so many better options.
Also flip side, I want to know your thoughts on Hisuian Arcanine. Is it still good? Or has it finally fallen off?
It will be a niche mon. I don't think it's good, but I don't think it's terrible. But as with all formats, when Incineroar comes back, the problem now is Arcanine is in that neutral territory. You know, if you're looking for that hyper offense piece, you go Entei, you go those big power fire types. If you're looking for the balance piece with the Intimidate, you're going that Incineroar, right? That middle neutral ground play that Arcanine is really only works when you don't have options on either side of it. Now that you have options on both sides, I think you're going to see Arcanine only be very niche.
Good when you need damage.
I don't know, why not just use Entei? That can't get intimidated or faked out.
But like head smash, boom.
Okay, Bandit Stomping Tantrum, boom. You know what I mean? Like, it's just one of those ways that it just feels like it's a little more, I don't know, it just feels like it's that middle mon, you know? Like, you've got the extreme balance, you've got the extreme offense, and then you have the Arcanine just closer to offense but kind of wanting to be balanced. It feels like it's in that weird spot. It could be really good. I don't think it's bad, but I just think if I'm going to pick one of the two options, I'm going to pick one way or the other.
I think it's going to be a player that gets frustrated dying with Incin or like losing to one specific matchup.
Yeah.
And Arcanine might help in that specific matchup and not hurt in other ones that like would be the niche for it to be slapped on the team over Incin.
Let's do rapid fire, and then we talk like 5-15 minutes about Arcanine.
Ready?
I tried.
Venusaur.
Good. Sleep powder, go.
Venusaur?
Chlorophyll. Yes.
Yeah, Venusaur.
I don't think it has what it used to have, but still good. I'll say still good.
Best.
I think good only when Joe or other really good Sun players use it. Otherwise, it's not good at all. Not bad. Sleep powder is always good, but not it. All right, Registeel.
Very good.
Oh,
Incredible.
annoying.
Absolutely incredible. I wanted to mention that, Conk,
Is
so
it?
I'm so happy you did because I completely forgot. That mon is absolutely incredible. Not being able to get intimidated, so Heavy Slam can always kill the Fluttermanes, and just being a Steel type with bulk defensive typings, it's really good.
Iron Defense Body Press, like with just insane bulk. Like, it got second in the Hemi-Tour, and I had to face it. It was
good.
So like it was really hard to remove. Super strong.
Good to know.
Okay. Next one is Porygon 2.
My child. My child. Really, really strong still. Really, really strong.
Yeah,
I think it's going to need a little bit of time to figure out what the meta's looking like, to figure out what exactly it needs to survive and where exactly you need to get Trick Room up versus certain teams and stuff like that. But really strong mon, I think you're going to see it used.
I think it's strong, but not as strong as before with Incin getting knockoff back. I think being able to easily remove Eviolite is a pretty big nerf, I think. For P2.
Sticky Hold Porygon 2, let's go. We're going to just trace Sticky Hold. Simple. Easy.
All right, Smeargle.
Everyone in the hard Trick Room server and said, "Where are the Porygon 2 pastes?"
All right, Smeargle.
Bad.
Any thoughts on Smeargle? I think it's bad too. I don't think you just die to Surging Strikes and then you get nothing off.
It has a niche.
It. Like
Decorate, right? Spore, right?
It has a niche if you don't have an answer to it. But I don't think because of that, I don't think it's good. You know what I mean? If the mon is only good when your opponent doesn't have answers to it or doesn't know how to play around it, it's really difficult. It's definitely not what it once used to be, but I do think I don't think it's like bad. You're going to use it. It's going to be usable. It's just, I don't think it's worth my time.
Yeah. All right. Latias.
Good.
Oh, fun. Which one's a red one and which one's a blue one?
Latias is red and more defensive. Latios is blue and more offensive.
Okay. I think both are good though.
I think both are very good.
You see a lot more Latias early. It's just the perfect wall, like in theory, to Urshifu with resisting both stabs. I've seen a lot of Rocky Helmet, and you can go get Tailwind, recover, something like that. So
you got a lot of cool tools. It's very good.
Yep. All right, next one is Metagross.
Fun but bad typing.
Decent.
Like really mediocre in my opinion. I don't think it does enough in any direction.
It has it has everything going for it. It's a good mon. It's built to be a good mon. It just doesn't quite do enough in the format right now.
It got power crept too much.
It did get Psychic Fangs back, which is kind of cool. 100% accurate Psychic move is actually pretty good for it. So
breaking screens too.
Yep.
All right, Primarina.
Good.
I wish it was better.
Good.
But it is good.
I think it'll be good. It does again wall Urshifu in theory, but
physical defense Surging Strikes in the rain.
What?
No,
you just build it to live the Surging Strikes in rain, Tommy. You can do that.
Yeah, you just build it bulky. But I think in a physical leaning meta, with its physical bulk not being the best, I think it's gonna struggle a bit.
It's going to struggle, but I think it's that cool niche pick where it's like, hey, you know what? It's a good mod. I think special water spread coverage is really, really strong. And we see it when Kyogre comes into the meta. It's really, really strong as well. Obviously, I'm comparing apples and oranges here, but Primarina is going to be good. I think it's going to be that niche pick. It's not going to be meta breaking, but it's going to have those teams where it's good.
Yeah. All right. Araquanid.
All right. Yeah, I was looking at 252, 128, and it doesn't die.
Yeah.
78 to 93.
Yeah. Yeah, you can tank that stuff. It's still more than you want to take, but
it's not a tanking it, living at 7%.
But it takes it lives and kills back. I mean, I'll take it.
Yeah. All right, Arachnid. What do you guys think?
Oh, I can't wait to build around it. I can't wait. I just haven't went to the lab yet. I love
Arachnid.
This thing so far.
Really, really good, but not what it once was. Still really, really strong, just not quite where it wants to be anymore, but it's still good.
I think it's really interesting, though.
Yeah. I think, like, Water Bubble, Liquidation, and then Leech Life into Rillaboom, stuff like that. It's good. It's definitely good. I think it'll be good on, like, P2 teams, like it's been in the past, but not quite as strong as... It's going to take a very certain comp to not use it over, like, Urshifu or something else, you know?
Well, it's going to be a Trick Room Sweeper, right? If you're looking for that Water-type Trick Room Sweeper, that's where you're going to get it. That's where you're going to see it, right? Now, how often do you want the water type Trick Room Sweeper?
Yeah, no.
Who knows?
All right, I want thoughts on Iron Hands, actually, because I've seen quite a bit of drop off. So I'm curious on thoughts on Iron Hands in Reg F.
Still incredibly strong. It's new toy syndrome. Everybody's trying to test out like
Yeah.
Raging Bolt and all these other new toys that need to have the AV. Once the meta settles, you're gonna see Iron Hands creep back in. It's a good mon, similar to Metagross. It's just built to be a good mon. It's going to be a good mon, and you're gonna see it again.
Yep.
It's not going anywhere.
You took the words
Totally
right
agree.
out of my mouth. Yeah,
Totally agree.
couldn't have said it better.
And then I think this will probably be the last one, but Suicune.
Fun.
Don't bully my kid. Choose everybody choose your words carefully. Do not bully my child.
I was gonna say, I think it's. I've played it. It's a good disruptor. It needs a lot of offense around it, I think, because it's not doing much itself. But it is not a bad mon. It's an okay mon. It'll be good on certain comps, but overall we'll see not that much usage.
It's that passive tailwind is really all it is. You know, it's that tailwind. It can't get faked out. It gets a lot of good things going for it. Skull can start burning things as well. It's one of those ones where if you don't have an answer to it, it's going to be really, really strong onto teams. It's just generally really bulky. I don't know if it holds up. I want it to be really good. I think it has options. It's just, I don't know if it's quite right there yet.
All right, and now we're kind of getting close to the end of the show here, but I want each of us to say one pick that's already been in the game. So not introduced in the Indigo disc, but a mon that's already been here that will be better because of in Reg F than it has been in Regulation E, at least.
Okay.
I can kind of
does Lando I count?
Yeah, Lando.
I think Lando. I was gonna say Lando I is one. I think Weezing will be something.
I didn't want to say Amoonguss.
And I think Amoonguss was something that's definitely gonna come back. Yeah, I think also I'm gonna put out Farigiraf. I think Farigiraf with like a bunch of fake out cycling, priority spam. I think like Thunderclap. I think Farigiraf is gonna see more usage than it has in the past. It's always been a mon that's there, that's good, that people have used, but it hasn't been like the highest usage. I think it'll be something that gets a little bit sees a bit more usage.
I can see it. I think Lando I on that regard is really, really good as well. Like, yes, we saw it pick up in usage onto hyper offense variants last format.
Yep.
But nowadays with the Incins being back, it's actually a really good balance breaker. You know, it can beat the Urshias, it can beat the Incins, it can beat the Rillaboom, and that's a core 3 on its own sometimes, you know? It doesn't necessarily need to be on that hyper offense mode anymore. You can kind of play it around, cycle around, position a little better. Obviously, it does value from that tailwind, from that immediate damage output, but it can definitely be that balance breaker, and a lot of teams are going to need that balance breaker in this format. So,
also want to give I totally didn't ask this question so I could say this, but I think from 0% usage to 0.1% usage, Conkeldurr is better now that Incin's in the format because Drain Punch is just better into Incin.
You just wanted to say Conkeldurr, buddy. You just wanted to say Conkeldurr.
Dusclops with Haze next to Conkeldurr. Oof. Can't wait to build a team that I can't break out of 1100s with. But it'll be fun. It'll be fun.
I want it to be good so bad. Same with Scrafty. I really want Scrafty to be good again, but it's just not.
Yeah. It's just not. Unfortunate. All right. Well, we're pretty much at the end here. Any last thoughts going into the rest of Big F?
So this is gonna air after my Christmas tour is over. Thank you everyone that joined. Thank you everyone that donated for Toys for Tots. It's not too late to donate. It's a Merry Christmas, but it helps a lot of people. So please donate if you have the means. If you don't, I understand. Really cool. We've got a lot of anonymous donations. We've gotten over like $600 in donations for Toys for Tots. I still have to donate mine. I was going to talk to Poppy Cantan, see how we're splitting it up. And yeah, we got a lot. It's really cool to see. It's really cool to see.
Awesome.
And thank you everyone that joined. On a lighter note though, have you guys played any of the rock paper scissors Judy stuff yet?
Oh my god, I can't wait to do that. So for those that don't know, it's like a Japanese came up with kind of like a cool little rock paper scissors format with Hitmonchan that's was an upper hand, mock punch, and focus punch that kind of all
they all
each other
one beats each
Yeah.
Upper
Look
hand
out,
beats
the
Mach
weekend
Punch,
after
Mach
Portland.
Punch beats Focus Punch, and Focus Punch beats Upper Hand. It's kind of a
Yeah.
really cool concept.
Yeah.
Tournament Saturday, weekend after Portland. I'm making Judy an admin on my Limitless account so he can make the tour, and then I'm gonna have some judges help him out with it,
That's pretty
and we're
cool.
gonna do it in the Discord, and it's gonna be a lot of fun. So be on the lookout for that. And
Awesome.
yeah, he's
my
gonna make
outro's-
a rental too, so everyone has to play with the rental.
My outro is gonna be gouging fire good. That's it.
We
really-
never got to
Gouging
Gouging
We
Fire.
somehow never talked about
We didn't
gouging
give it-
fire. I don't know, but gouging fire gonna be good. Once again, similar to that Entei, it takes the fire slot. Is it worth that? Is it worth being in that fire slot?
No,
Depends on your
most of the
team
time
needs.
there's the opportunity cost.
We'll
Yeah.
see. We'll see.
We'll see.
I want to ask what is gouging fire, not how is gouging fire. You know, so I think it'll be interesting. But
Why is
I
gouging
think
fire?
Yeah.
the
How is gouging fire?
new like. All right. Well, that's it for us. Happy holidays,
That's a
everyone. I
good-
hope
Happy holidays,
it's gonna
everyone.
air after Christmas, but hope everyone, whatever you celebrate, happy holidays. Hope you have a great
Thank you.
rest end of the year, and we will see you in 2024. Can't wait to
Yes.
have a great year in 2024. But thank you everyone for listening up until this point. It's been super fun doing this with Tommy and Sable. I can't wait to have a great year next year. So happy holidays, happy New Year, everyone. That's it for
See
us.
ya.
Bye, guys.
Love you.